this is Katie. So as you can tell by the title of this video, I was robbed. But I very, very briefly want to tell you guys, just in case you're concerned, because I'm sure some of you guys are, I am physically fine. I was not robbed like from my person. It had nothing to do with how much I travel. It has nothing to do with the fact that I live out of my car. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was sleeping in my car. Nothing like that whatsoever. I was kind of considering including the term hacked in the title, but I just couldn't exactly figure out how to do that because technically I got hacked and robbed. But I was nervous to say I got robbed because I'm sure some of you guys go to like, oh my gosh, is Katie okay? I'm perfectly fine. Thank you for like being concerned because I'm sure some of you guys are. But I was also nervous to just say hacked because it's not like I just got my Facebook password stolen or something. Like I got hacked, like real hacked. Like I got robbed and hacked. I got hacked and robbed, really is what happened. And so I wanted to just explain to you guys what happened to me, and it's been going on for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, and I finally am about to get it like all situated and all settled. But before we get into the video, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel here and ring the notification bell to get notified every time I upload. I upload on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, but sometimes at different times. So if you want to be one of the first people here, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. And then also go follow me on Instagram if you want more daily updates and to see pictures of me where I'm traveling and all that kind of stuff. So now, without further ado, I'm going to tell you the story how I got robbed. I'm real angry, and sometimes I feel like when I'm real angry but I record, it comes off as like hyper, but it's anger, and it's partially me trying to like tell the anger to calm down, but I'm frustrated, I am stressed out, and I'm not happy right now with this situation. So let's start at the beginning. So like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was signed onto my online banking account thing on my computer. And I just happened to scroll a little bit and saw my most recent transactions. And I noticed that I was charged for Netflix. Yes, this is all about Netflix. I noticed that I was charged for Netflix 3 times. And so I just kind of assumed like, oh, Netflix just made an error. There was just some billing error with Netflix, blah, blah, blah. I just got to message them, no big deal. So went over to Netflix's website, and I signed on to their little live chat thing, and I started talking to someone and explained the situation and told them who I was and gave them, you know, the verification stuff so that they know who I was. And I was like, yeah, I think that you guys just overcharged me. And the person I was talking to on live chat was like, actually, from this, 3 minutes of research that I was just doing, I noticed that there are 5 other people, or 5 other accounts at least, using your billing information. And I was like, okay, can I just get my money back? Like, I was just like it didn't hit me yet what that meant. So I was just like, can I just get my money back? And he's like, no, you have to go cancel your debit card like immediately, like, cause you've been hacked. And I was like, what? This has never happened to me before. I know it happens to tons of people, but my anxiety, this is not good for my anxiety. So I was like, what? Huh? So called my bank, okay? Because the guy was like, you just need to, cancel a debit card, get a new debit card. So I called my bank and talked to them for a little while. And the person on the phone said, okay, I'm going to send you a new debit card, but also your online account has also potentially been compromised. So we're going to have to lock you out. And I'm like, okay, like I'm all for extra protection. So I'm like, that's totally fine. And then how she explained it, or at least how I understood it, was that once I get my new debit card, I can just kind of like reinstate my online stuff. That was not true, but I'll get to that in a second. So she and I talked for a while. She sent the new debit card, and that was kind of that. And again, I was not too worried. I was more kind of annoyed because I use my debit card a lot. So I was more like annoyed at that point and a little like, oh, that sucks. But I wasn't, luckily, my brain was not going too deep into the worry yet. So then like a week or 2, whatever later, I got my debit card and I activated it, and that all went through fine. And then I went to go sign back on to my online account, and it said that I was still locked out, which makes sense. So I called the bank back, and they're like, well, actually, you have to close your checking account. And I'm like, well, first of all, why didn't the person on the phone tell me this a week or 2 prior? But second of all, what? Oh, and P.S., I looked through all my statements because the person I spoke to at Netflix said that this started in May. So I looked through my May, June, July, and August statements because this happened like late August. That's when I noticed it. And I looked through and I did not see any other weird transactions. Nobody tried to take a lot of money out. Nobody was paying for anything else, just Netflix. So when I got my new debit card a couple weeks later and I was talking to the person on the phone about reinstating my online account, they were like, yeah, no. So for the first month, they used your debit card. But for the second and third and fourth month, they opened up some sort of Apple Pay or something, some sort of like mobile banking, which means that not only was my debit card hacked and compromised, but my checking account was hacked and compromised. And so while I was still on the phone, I was like, okay, cool. Can I just cancel my account with you and make a new one? And the person was like, no, you have to actually go into the bank. Now, that's not a big deal, right? Even some of you were probably like, why didn't you just go to the bank in the first place, right? Because I was nowhere near my bank. My bank I got when I was living in New York, and there are none. Where I kind of was traveling over those few weeks, there were no banks. And so where I am right now, there's a bank about an hour and a half away. And so I'm like, okay, this was like last Tuesday or so that I was on the phone with a person. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just go to the bank tomorrow I'll drive an hour and a half to go to the bank tomorrow, close my account and get a new one. So I went, and the banker I worked with is super nice. And he talked to a bunch of people on the phone as well to just get like verification of certain things and to really make sure that he knew what was going on. Because there were no notes in my account. Usually when there's fraud and stuff, there's notes. There were no notes in my account. So even the banker I was working with was like, well, I can see that like stuff was going on and that we sent you a new card. He's like, but there should be notes when there weren't. So it made him a little bit more confused, even though it was a confusing situation to start with. So he called a bunch of people, blah, blah, blah. And he made sure to ask if I only had to cancel my checking account, because I have multiple accounts all like linked together under my own personal online banking account. You know what I mean? Like if you have a checking and a savings, or if you have joint accounts, or if you have a business account or anything like that, you can still access all of them under your login information. And so I had a couple other accounts on there besides my checking that you could access if you just use my username and password. And so the banker I was working with spoke with other people, and they're like, no, we just have to deal with her checking account. So we're like, okay, fine. He cancels my checking account. He said, we're gonna send you another debit card just in case, but we're canceling your checking account and I'm just gonna make you a new one. And within a couple days, the checking account will be totally fine. And then, you know, in a week, you'll get your new debit card and everything will be fine. So even though the person who hacked me used my debit card and used some sort of Apple Pay or whatever, and since using Apple Pay meant that this person who hacked me probably also had my username and password for my online billing, everything combined, the people at the bank still said it only needed to cancel my checking account. They know better than I do, so I'm like, okay, whatever you say. The banker that I was working with asked a bunch of people and they all said, no, she just has to cancel her checking. So canceled the checking and then created a new checking. And the banker just told me that like within like the next, 2 days or so, I'm just gonna have to call like the corporate office of the bank and have them change my username and password just in case the people who hacked me had my username and password. So I called a few days later to change my username and password, and they're like, oh, no, you have to cancel all your accounts. And I'm like, well, that's not what they told me last week. And the guy that I worked with asked a bunch of people, and the person I spoke to on the phone, this was just yesterday, they're like, I'm so sorry that you were misinformed, but you do in fact have to close all of your accounts that could be found under that username and password, which obviously makes sense. I don't know why they didn't say that last week. It totally makes sense. If you have my username and password, that means you can see anything that I can see. So of course that makes sense. But they did not say that when I was at the bank the week prior. So what did I have to do? I drove up today to go back to the bank because I also had to cancel all my other accounts and create all new accounts. You guys, this has been so stressful and frustrating. And again, I know this happens to a lot of people. I am not good at handling this kind of stuff. And so as of today, knock on wood, we think that everything is completely settled. So today is Tuesday. So as of maybe like Thursday or so, I should have my new debit card and my old other accounts should be closed and the new ones should be reopened so I can call, change my username and password, activate my new debit card, and everything should be fine. But this has been going on for almost a month. And I am so aggravated not having my debit card. I like using my debit card. Like that's how I really like to see everything, Don't like not having my debit card. Don't like that I was thrown around a bunch of times. I know it's not my bank's fault. I'm not mad at my bank. I'm just kind of frustrated with the whole situation because people misunderstand situations or people are given the wrong information themselves or whatever. Like I totally understand and I'm not mad at the bank. I am a little mad at the people who hacked me. Oh, because I don't know if you guys did the quick math of like a few Netflix accounts a month from like May to August. These people only stole like $200, $250 from me. but I've had to drive a total of 6 hours to go to the bank. I have not had my debit card for almost a month. I've been on the phone for at least an hour and a half with all these people combined. And it has just been so stressful and aggravating. Yeah, so I cannot for the life of me think of how these people hacked me. No idea. I'm very careful with all my stuff, but things happen, stuff happens, but I'm even gonna be more careful now. And I never used to really check my statements very often. So now I'm gonna check them definitely more often. And I encourage you guys to do that as well, because especially if someone is only stealing like 10 or 20 bucks from you a month, you might not notice unless you like balance your checkbook, or if you just check your statements every month just to see if anything seems a little weird. But I never really used to do that very often. And I did not notice that these things were coming out, and my bank didn't notice because it's Netflix. Like they just, nobody noticed. It was not a huge lump sum. It was not anything crazy. So nobody noticed. The bank didn't notice. I didn't notice. I did get all my money back very, very quickly. Most banks are really good with fraud protection and stuff. So I got my money back totally fine. It's just more stressful and aggravating and frustrating than anything. Like more like, how many phone calls do I have to make? How many times do I have to keep doing all this stuff? Because the banker that I worked with, who like I went back to speak with the same guy because he already knew the story from last week, he told me multiple times, he's like, this is the weirdest fraud I've ever seen. Ever. Because you usually see someone's taking out thousands of dollars or going on shopping sprees or doing like crazy extravagant things. This person only opened up a few Netflix accounts in my name. But even the guy I was talking to at the bank was like, this is the weirdest type of fraud I have ever seen. But so this person probably is stealing small amounts of money from like a lot of people because it's so much easier to get away with that, I'm sure, because I did not notice those first few months. I just didn't. And I'm super careful with my debit card. I always like hide it. Like I'm really one of those people. So like I don't know what happened. I have no idea how they got my login information. No idea. And even my mom was like, do you think it's someone that like you met and like whatever, that like you took out your card to pay for something or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know, because even if it was, why would they only open Netflix accounts? Like it was just such a weird thing to do. And so again, I am always very cautious. My debit card, everything's always on me. I am so cautious, but I'm just gonna even be more cautious. I'm gonna check my statements more. So I encourage you guys to do the same, because someone could be stealing $5 from you a month, and if you're not checking, you probably wouldn't know. And so that's my story. Hopefully in the next couple days I'll have my debit card, my online banking will be fine again, and everything's okay. It has just been so frustrating. So I just got back now from going to the bank the second time and needed to record this video because I'm gonna put it up in the morning. So I hope that you guys liked hearing this story. I'm sorry that the last few videos have had negative or difficult undertones, but you guys know I just like to share my whole life with you, and right now I am just not going through an easy spree. I'm just really not. I'm having kind of a difficult time in terms of situations, in terms of, if you guys watched the video where I went on a few dates with a guy who ended up being married, and that I could not find a place to sleep and I ended up getting sick in the middle of the night, and now I got hacked. And so it's definitely not any of the worst things in the world, definitely not the worst things that I've been through. It's just stressful things, and they keep piling on top of each other. So I really just want this one to get settled. Yeah, so that's it. So that's how I got robbed. I got robbed online, so I got hacked, however you want to word it, but I got money stolen from me to open up Netflix accounts. So that's gonna be it for this video. I still really encourage you guys to like just double check your payments and your statements and everything. Please do that for me, please. And again, make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already, and follow me on Instagram for more daily updates. I do a lot of videos, highs, lows, fun things, sad things. You guys know I like to keep it real with you guys, so there's tons of different content on here. I really am glad that you guys are here hanging out with me. So thanks for watching, and that's gonna be it. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.